good time. Ooh, time to get our craft on. Ooh, time to have fun. Ooh, time to feel good.
Hey gifted crafters, welcome back for another Saturday CrafterNoon. Thank you all for tuning in today. It is a pretty sunny day outside and I am coming from sunny South Florida. So if you're in the area, you should be having some pretty nice weather. I hope those around the world are having some decent weather. I know it was kind of stormy this week, so prayers to all the people who had to kind of bear through all of those storms, and I hope everyone is okay. Thank you all again for tuning in. So my name is Nancy with GiftsHQ, and I host these weekly craft live sessions to just talk about all things crafty, everything from knitting, crocheting, decoupage, embroidery, sewing, and just about anything under the sun. I like to kind of dabble in all kinds of crafts and share tips and tricks and ideas for all of you to be able to maybe give a little gift, or maybe you have a little Etsy shop, or if you have a upcoming craft fair, you know, maybe you can use those ideas to then, you know, make other products and things that you can sell, or just to give as gifts. So I hope you guys really enjoy all the content that I bring over to you guys. So let's just jump right into this today. I see a few people here in our participants listing, so let's go down the list and say hello to some friends. I see Crafting with Robin. I see Jackie Hallman. I see Jenny Owens, Judy Bauer, 1 Minute Tips, Robin's Quilt Basket, Sassy, Yvonne Hudson. Thank you guys all for tuning in. I really appreciate you spending the time to spend this hour with me. So, of course, if you're tuning in for the first time, I am a girl that really loves her holidays. So, today's holidays, because I know last week I forgot the holidays and I think I don't know what I was thinking, and everyone reminded me that I didn't give them the holidays, so I'm giving you your holidays today. Okay, so today is National Coloring Day. So I know they've got those really cool coloring books now that are out there, and you can use them for so many different things. I mean, that's like a whole other session just in that. But it is also Live Creative Day, and we're going to kind of touch upon being a little creative today because things are going to get a little twisted here. So I'll get into that in just a little bit. So let's just give you guys a little bit. One more announcement I need to make. I'm sorry. For the members only. Tonight we'll be having our session at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so I hope to see you guys there. We are doing a quilt along. For those of you that don't know, you can go ahead and hit the join button. All the videos are out there on our quilt along, and we are just kind of skyrocketing through that. And I've seen so many different pictures on our Facebook page, and thank you guys so much for sharing that. I love your choice of fabrics, and it's really cool. We are pretty much on track. We're going to be done with this before the holidays kick in, so this is really, really nice that you guys will be able to have that quilt to either give as a gift, or, you know, maybe it's just a little gift for yourselves. Who knows? But they're coming out really nice, and we're taking it really slow, step by step. I like to answer all the questions. So if you guys want to tune into that, hit the join button and join us tonight at 7 p.m. Okay. I have just one more announcement to make because my baby is back. If you guys didn't notice, the SC1900 is back with its embroidery unit back there. And so I did put it back because I have some things that I want to embroider. I did love sewing with it. I can tell you that. I love sewing with that machine. It was a dream. Really loved it. But it's just a matter of convenience for me to have the embroidery machine set up and then the sewing machine set up. So it just makes it easier for me to get things done a little bit quicker. So I did put her back there. She's got her embroidery foot on and all set for embroidery. And I got my little baby back. And I have to tell you, he did a fantastic job. And he did tell me a couple of tips. So I wanted to share that with you in case you guys had any issues with your machines acting up. And you think it's the bobbin, and you go to the bobbin and you take out the case, and you'll see it has a little screw there that you can kind of adjust, and you can either tighten it or you can loosen it depending what your issue is that you're having. And that usually does the trick, and it did that for quite some time on my machine, and it, then I would just pop it right back in and it was totally fine. But, the machine is very old. I've had this machine, I don't even know how many years I've had this machine for. So, I thought, it's time to give it a little checkup. Let's take it in. And I did buy a bobbin case from Amazon. And it was a generic, but it did specifically say that it fit for this machine. Now, he did warn me that while the bobbin case will work, it typically is not great for the Brother machines. So Brother machines like Brother parts. They like the authentic parts. And so I was able to purchase another bobbin case from him and he is a Brother dealer. So it is an authentic part that I was able to get. And he did switch that out for me. It was pretty inexpensive. $40. I did get it cheaper in Amazon with the generic cases, but this is a authentic Brother one part, so I expected it to be a little bit expensive, but it wasn't terrible. But he did go ahead and put the new bobbin case in, cleaned out the tensions, cleaned the machine, made sure everything else was working, and the baby is working just fine now. So she is back, and I got her all hooked up with the sew cam again, so I think we're all good to go. And I'm back in business here with 2 machines, so I can sew while something's embroidering. So it just helps me out to get things done a little bit quicker. So that's the update on the machine. So FYI, especially if you have a Brother machine, you may want to make sure that you if you're looking for parts for the machine, try to make sure that they are authentic Brother parts, because although it may work with a generic, it can cause other issues, and sometimes it won't work to the best of its performance. So, just a tip on that one. Okay, so we've got a couple other things going on here, and last week we talked about doing a checkerboard quilt. So there was a couple of different options that I showed you, and I just wanted to kind of show you one that I was able to finish, and I kind of just put it in a little bow and I just kind of wrapped it. I did the black and white one. Let me just open it up here, because I thought, this bow is probably a little bit too big and I'll have to cut it down, but I temporarily just kind of put that together. And so here it is. And so you see here, I've got a cute little checkerboard that I can take to the park, or it's like a little carry-on that I can do and the kids can play with it, just get a little baggie to put the little checkerboard pieces. Or you can add another border around it and put a zipper on it and put the checkerboard pieces inside, or the chess pieces. A lot of people play chess in the parks and stuff, and so you'll be able to just kind of do that and have all the pieces, and then just fold it up here, and then you can go to the park with it. And then all you got to do, you know, sometimes, you know, sometimes the parks have those types of things, but they're usually kind of dirty and muddy from the weather and things outside. So you can just place this one right on top and you're ready to play. And I think it's just something that's really quick and easy to do. And, you know, you can just take it with you. And it's just a nice little thing that you can do with your kids or your grandkids and just, you know, take them with you. So I was able to finish that. So I was happy about that one. The backing is just a plain back. And then I have the front. I kind of left this nice and scrappy with the border around. I didn't want it to be, you know, too much. So this was just a nice, quick little project that you can do. And then I just kind of do that, wrap it up, and then you can do a little, doubled it up here because it's kind of too big. But you can do a little bow, or, you know, whatever it is that you want to put on it to kind of wrap it up together. So makes it quick, easy to take, doesn't weigh anything, very easy thing for you to have with the kids. So I wanted to kind of show you that one. I also, I mean, this is kind of like the week of finished projects, because I did have something that I meant to show you last week and then I just totally forgot. So let me bring this in, because this is one of the projects that I was able to finish. And if I can just move my card over. This is the wall hanging that I was able to finish with the balloons. So let me just kind of open it up here. See as much as I can. So, can't get the border out, but hold on. Okay, so this is probably about as best as I'm going to be able to show you guys. I'll try to put it up a little more. But this is the wall hanging, and it says, "Life is a beautiful ride," right in the middle. And then surrounding that are a bunch of balloons that have been embroidered with mylar. So I was able to kind of center this saying here, and then I just kind of scattered the balloons, and all of the balloons are just a little bit different. And so once I put the mylar on them, you know, it gives them that little shimmer and shine, which is nice. So, you know, it's nice to be able to just kind of do different things, and there's all kinds of different options that you can pick. Now, it also has a border that I was able to do. So the design is by Pearly Gates. They do give you the motif. So I took this border here. Let me bring this around. It's kind of big for me to show you here with this machine here too, so it's a little difficult, so I apologize. Okay, so this is a motif. They've got the horizontal and they have the vertical, and so you were able to stitch out the motif. I did that on black fabric, used that as my border, and then for the binding I went ahead and I used this blue, which is my backing here. And so my backing fabric is like kind of a sky blue and two different types of blues kind of mixed together. And then I have the black border along with the motifs on the side and the mylar balloons with the saying in the middle. So so a little bit of everything here. I tried to bring all kinds of different colors and different types of balloons. I really love the way it came out. I thought it was great, and I just may do a second one to give out as a gift. Oh, thank you, Annette. That's sweet. It came out beautiful. Thank you. Thanks, Crafting with Robin. Yeah, I you know, worked a while on this because I had a hard time finding the fabric, and then when I found the fabric, I was able to stitch things out, but then I wasn't sure what to do with the border, and so it was a lot of unsure and kind of trial and error on this here. But once I got it going, I was fine, and I played around with the colors on the balloons themselves, because the colors, they give you suggested colors, but you like to kind of play around with them to see what it's going to do. So let me give you one more look. I'm gonna try to hold this up as much as I can. And really cool project. If you have everything ready, this really doesn't take too long. I mean, you will have to, if you want to fully embroider. I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. About 9. I did 8 balloons and one saying in the middle, so it's 9 embroideries, designs, and then you have the motif, the 2 horizontal and the 2 vertical for your borders, if you want to do that for your borders. It's not, you don't have to. But that's another project that I was finally able to complete. So I was happy that I got that done. And like I said, I'll probably do another one to give us a gift, but this one will go much faster because I already know the placement that I want and how it's going to turn out. So no guessing on that one. It's just kind of a repeat. Alrighty. Oh, thank you guys. Thank you. Love the black and the blue binding. Thanks, Jenny. Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad you guys like it. Okay. So let me just see. I think that's all I had for the announcements and the updates for you guys. Let's focus on what we're doing this week, because things are going to just get a little bit twisted. And what I mean by that is we are going to talk about making something here. If I can just grab it here. Oh, hang on. Judy said, sorry, have the grands and my daughter came down today, so a little crazy here. Daughter wants to thank you for all for everything, from the ornaments to all the prayers. She really loved the new song. Oh, thank you, Judy. Awesome. So Judy is one of our members, and as part of the members only, we allowed them to listen to some of the new songs that are coming out on our Volume 2 CD. And there is a patriotic song that really touched the hearts of a lot of people. I think it's really a kind of an emotional type song, but it's really beautiful. And it would be really great for someone who maybe has a quilt guild, or you're doing the Valors of Honor, and how they take the quilts and they, wrap a veteran with the quilt. And I think it's amazing. And it's just, seeing so many families that go through that process where their kids, grandkids, or any family member is going out to service, is really difficult. And so if you think about the whole process of them, just going through that, it's crazy. So, oh, she doesn't like to get emotional, and the song did it. Oh, well, I'm glad. Oh, thank you. Oh, thanks, 1 Minute Tips. I'm glad you guys enjoyed the song. These are all members, so the Volume 2 should be coming out soon. We are finalizing it. Oh, Robin says that song really touched me. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. So I'm glad that we're on the right track for Volume 2. We've got a lot of the songs done. I've got a couple more to go to just tweak a little bit, and then the CD should be out soon. So I'm hoping you guys will like it. We'll definitely debut it, so stay tuned on that one. But members, because they are the members, I give them the privilege for them to go ahead and see that first. So okay, we've got a lot to cover here. So I wanted to kind of show you something, and that is the little project that I have for us today. And this is what it is. It's called Little Twister. They're pinwheels that you can make using your fabric squares. Now, this is kind of a odd project, and it can be a little confusing. It's all done with a little tool. And let me show you the tool. The tool is called Little Twister. And this is what it looks like. It's just a square. And the square has, and let me see if I can find something. Let me try it with this fabric here. You can see that better. Okay. Yeah, you can see that. Okay, so Little Twister. This is a little tool that you can get on Amazon. I have it on the link below. It's called Little Twister. And this is by the Twister Sisters Design. And this is what it comes in. Okay, it's just this little ruler here. Now, let me move this over so you can see this. Sorry, I'm in a little tight space here, so trying to get everything in there. So it's just a square little ruler that has these little glue dots underneath, so it does stand up a little bit higher. And it has a crosshair on it, but the crosshair isn't exactly squared off. It's tipped over to the side a little bit. And this is a tool that you'll use in order for you to make these pinwheels. And it's so much fun. Can be a little confusing, a little nerve-wracking, because I thought maybe I'm doing this wrong. But I was able to pick it up on the first try, and I made this little sample. And I thought it was the cutest thing. And there's so many things that you can do. Now remember, I did say that it was Live Creative Day. So the reason I bring this up is because this is just one design you can make. You can make so many different designs. You can make a little wreath for Christmas. You can change this up 1,000,001 ways. There'll be pinwheels, but you can scatter them around and just make different designs. And it is up to you how creative you want to be on what you're going to make with this project. And it's just so much fun. Now, it can get a little confusing. You just got to keep yourself a little organized, but it's super simple. And once you follow the steps, you're going to love it, because you can make hundreds of different quilt ideas with this. It's just such an amazing tool. I thought it was just amazing. Now, it's been out for a little bit, and so this is kind of new to me, but I don't know how long it's been out, but I just thought it was the cutest thing. So I don't know if anybody has tried this. Let me know in the chat if you have. I really want to know if anyone has tried the Little Twister. There are different sizes available. I just got this one here. So this one will make this size of a pinwheel. They do have larger ones that you can use with 10-inch squares. I used 5-inch squares in order to get this. So you'll start off with, and I'll show you in a second, you'll start off with something that you'll have to piece together and put borders on. And then you're going to, once you're finished with it, this is where the hard part comes in. Like, you finished it and you really don't want to tear it apart, but you basically are going to take this ruler and cut up your design, and it is going to shrink. But as it shrinks, it is also going to make the beautiful pinwheels. So super, super cute. I just thought that this one was really darling. And this one, it's a 5-inch square that works with this ruler. They do have the other ones that are a little bit bigger that work with the 10-inch blocks. I didn't want to go with such a big one, but that's what I did. Okay. Annette said she's never heard of it. Okay. 1 minute, never tried it. Okay, so these little gadgets. Now this, I did get it off of Amazon, and I wrote down that the price was, it's $11.99. So not too bad. It could be worse, right? This one's not too bad. And for what it does, I think it's worth it. You're gonna love how many different things you can make with this. So you can check it out. Again, link is on the description below. And just check it out here. But let me show you how you would do something like this. So it does come with instructions on here. And let me just get them out. Okay. So the instructions, really super easy to follow on here. They do have some nice diagrams, and it basically tells you the steps to make something really simple. That's all you get along with the ruler, but that's all you're gonna need. So let me show you now what you'd have to do to start this off. So I have 2 of them. Now this is just a mini sample that I did just so that I could show you what the finished product looks like. But in order to start this project, you will need to get 5-inch squares. And your 5-inch squares are going to make a little, let me just kind of grab a couple here. So I'm going to grab some 5-inch squares and I'm going to lay them out. Now you're going to want alternating colors. You can do, I just did 2 colors, but you can do 2 colors, 3 colors. It's totally up to you. And what you're going to do is you're going to cut out your 5-inch squares, or you're just going to grab yourself a little charm pack with 5-inch squares, and you're going to lay them out. And you're going to alternate them. And I'll just lay down a couple just so you can get the idea. Okay. There we go. Let me do 1 more row. Just for giggles. Okay. All right. So we've got here alternating 5-inch squares, right? And all you're gonna do, and you look at it, you probably already know what you need to do. You're just gonna sew a 1/4 inch seam allowances, bring the 2 sides together, go ahead and sew that. Do the same thing over here. And so you're gonna put together this little 9 patch. Now for a decent size, or the size that they recommend, you're going to want to have a total of 24 squares. Okay, you're going to have let's see, 4 rows of 6 squares. So you're gonna do 6 squares going across. You're gonna double this up, and 4 going down. So you'd need 1 more row here. So let me just do 1 more row. Here's 2 reds, and I'll need a black. Let's see, 1 more here. So I've got a ton of 5-inch squares that I cut randomly from different fabrics. You know, once I'm done with the project, if I have, you know, fabric left over that's probably not enough to do what I would want to do with it, I go ahead and I cut it up. And so I've got here, and I've got different stacks with different sizes, so it just helps me to move a little faster to get these little projects out. So right now you can see here, let me move this up a little bit here. We've got 4 rows going down. You're going to need 6 going across. I'm not going to lay them out because I don't have enough space here. But so I only have 3, but you're going to want 3 more columns, right? So it'll be a total of 24 squares. So 6 across and 4 down, right? 6 times 4, 24. So once you have that ready, you're going to go ahead and sew this together. And you're going to have all your patches laid out. So it's going to look very similar to the checkerboard quilt that we did last week, only you're using 5-inch squares now. And then once you're done with that, you're going to want to put a border, and you're going to want to use a 3-inch border to go all the way around. So let me just show you one that I kind of put together. Actually, I'm going to leave this out because I want to explain something else to you. So this is one that I sewed up really quick. And you can see here I've got my border, it's a 3-inch border here, and I've got my checkerboards here. And so just this alone is a really cute table topper, right? I mean, you kind of do this and then you're kind of like, oh, I really don't want to break it up. And that's kind of what happened to me because originally, I'll show you the other one, I put this together. And this one, it's kind of like the fall colors, but I use a batik fabric on here. And so this is a batik fabric that I also did with some other fabrics. And I did put a black border around it. And I just loved how the combination came out. And so I just didn't have the heart to then kind of break it up and do the pinwheel. But now that I've done a mini one, I think I just may do it. I just didn't want to kind of break it apart just yet. So, you know, that kind of happens when you get these projects and you have them and then you just, you know, you don't want to do the next step because you just like the way it is. So it's a nice project because it does reinforce the, you know, for you to be able to do those straight stitches and hitting the marks. And so when you're hitting the marks on your squares, you know, you're making sure that they are just, you know, touching exactly the way they should. So you're practicing, you're sewing your 1/4-inch foot, and you're making sure that you are sewing it in a straight line. You're also practicing when you are ironing it, that you are opening up the seams and pushing them the right direction. So that's a good practice for that as well. But it's just a nice little beginner project that someone can make with 5-inch squares. There's no complicated triangles or anything like that on here. And so once they've made this, you know, then it kind of starts with the fun part, right? So this is where now, you know, you can get a little creative. Now, I made the checkerboards, right? I'm going to show you something that you can do where you will end up with a totally different design. And I'm going to try to not blow away my squares underneath. Let's move this over. Okay, so the way you lay out your squares or the designs you decide to make can make a difference on how the pinwheels come out on this design. So you can make little border thingies here. I've seen people make little reefs, and the way they would make the reef is by making like a plus sign. Something similar, you'd have to make like a plus sign like that. There's all so many different things that you can make, but the way you arrange the squares would be how it picks it up to be able to make the pinwheel. And so, you know, you have to do this, and let me just show you what I mean. Let me pick these up. Okay, put those over to the side. I'm going to bring this back onto the screen. Okay, let me just show you how this kind of works. So once you have your checkerboard or your design, doesn't have to be checkerboard, remember, and you have your border, very important that the border is at least 3 inches because you will be cutting into the border. You're then going to take your ruler, which I've kind of lost underneath here. There we go. You're going to then take your little twister ruler, and let me just grab some of that green fabric so you can see what I'm talking about here. And so here's the little ruler. Here's your little twister, right? Now, if you notice, that little twister has that crosshair, and the crosshair is off-centered on here, right? I'm holding this completely straight. This is the bottom of the template, and the crosshair is off-centered right here. This line is what you're going to work with. We're now going to take this ruler and we're going to line up the top corner of our little quilt here. So you're looking at the corner here where you are intersecting with the border as well as the first square here. Now, when you do this, if it's probably better for you to work from left to right, or if you work from right to left, the most important part is just making sure that you keep everything in order. So I'm going to start on this side only because it's easier for me to show you guys because of the camera angle, but normally I would start on my left hand side. But I'm just going to show you what you would do. So you have this crosshair here. I'm going to go ahead and line up my crosshair with the intersection of the border along with the actual square here. So you'll see here, I'll see if I can kind of move away from the glare. There we go. You'll see here, here's the crosshair going right up against that border, right? We're coming right up against this line here. And then the crosshair is going across this way, which is the top of this here. All right, so we're going all the way across. Oops, there we go. So what you're going to do is line this up here, and then you're going to want to grab your rotary cutter. Now, I didn't get a chance to change my blade, so I may have some issues, but let's start cutting this up, right? Because it's a beautiful little quilt here, but we can make it even better with the pinwheels. Now, mind you, you look at the size of this little mini quilt, right? By the time you're done cutting everything up with a little twister and you sew everything back together again, you're going to end up with something about half this size. So keep in mind when you're working on your project with this, your fabric is going to shrink. And the reason for that is because you're doing all of these cuts. And as you do the cuts, you're going to have some waste. This is not a minimum waste project. You are going to have some waste, although some people have used some of that waste to make other projects on top of that. But I think I had some of the waste from, this is the waste that I have from the little mini one that I did. And so you'll see here how it's kind of all cut up. There are a couple of squares that I can probably use, but I just gonna go ahead and toss it. But, you know, there's some stuff here. Okay. Oh, did we freeze up here? Okay. So I think our overhead froze a little bit there. But let's see if we can get it back. Yeah, I think we're a little bit frozen there. But yes, I am going to cut the fabric. Boricua Sewing and Crafts, I wouldn't want to cut that. It's so pretty. Yeah, and you know, and that's the sentiment that I had with the other one. And apologies, we're getting that overhead back for you. But I really didn't want to cut it. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to do another one. And with the other one, you know, I'll do it. And so this was the second one that I made because I really didn't want to cut up this other one because it's just, I love the colors on it. You know, the Thanksgiving, that it's just got that Christmassy Thanksgiving type of a color. So and it's batik fabric. So I really didn't want to cut it. So I don't know what I was thinking when I was thinking to use this as a sample, but, you know, I ended up not wanting to cut it, so I didn't. And I ended up making the second ones, but that's okay. I may still go back and do it. We'll see how brave I get, right? So let's just go ahead and cut it up. I mean, guys, it's just fabric, right? We can always make another one. I have tons of half squares on, I'm sorry, I have tons of 5-inch squares in here, so I can just whip another one up in no time. So I'm not going to even think about it. We're just going to go ahead and do it. So let's bring this over. I'm going to drag this over closer to me. So I do have the template all lined up. You see the crosshairs are here lined up between my border and my first square. And I'm going to take that rotary cutter, go ahead, expose the blade, and we're going to cut this up right along here. You're going to cut all 4 sides and just take that piece out. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. That's it. I cut it. No going back now. Now, the only thing I'm not crazy about this project is the cuts are pretty awkward. So if you're standing up and you can get around cutting it, great. You could use a little turntable to help. I did try to do that, but because it's so big, I was just having a hard time doing it. So I didn't think it was going to work. But just try to do the best you can to get around it. Now, you don't want to go too crazy and make the cut all the way out, because you're going to be going through every single seam and making a cut. And if you cut too much, you're going to cut into your fabric. So be very careful. Try to stay as close to the square as you can. And then just go ahead and make the cut. Now, I'm going to just turn these around. And I am left-handed, but I can cut with my right as well. So I'm going to do that. Little dangerous. We're living on the dangerous side today. I told you guys this is just going to be a little twisted here. Now, I did not change the blade, but I think I made it through. Okay. Now, let me lay this back out so you can see we made our first cut, and you see that square here. So, oh my gosh, what did I do to my project, right? Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lay this out, and you'll want to keep this in order. So this is madness. Yes, I know, 1 minute tips, isn't it? It's crazy. I would never think about cutting up my project after I just sewed it together. But yes, we're going to just do that and cut it all up. And so let's just take the little template. We're going to line it up on the next seam. So you'll see on the next seam, I have this lined up here, and I also have it lined up going across the border. It is lined up, all ready to go. You want to make sure this is nice and straight. You want to make sure that you have your gosh, I forgot my train of thought. You're going to make sure your lines are all lined up with your quilt. Then again, I'm going to drag this towards me so I can see what I am cutting. Boricua Soyan Craft, heart attack. Oh no. Don't get that heart attack. We're good. Don't worry. And I'm kind of moving this around now. Preferably, I prefer not to move it around, but I'm really tight on space and I want to make sure you guys see what I'm doing. So just don't do as I do, right? Do as I say, not as I do. We're cutting this baby up. And I'm just going to make sure I get kind of weak on this side cutting, because I don't normally cut with this hand. And I got one more. And this could be a little dangerous because I just don't like having to expose the blade. Right? Oh, I see. Robin's Quilt Basket, I just wanted to say that I am glad you are back here, and I hope everything went well with your little procedure yesterday. Okay, I have a little tiny piece hanging off the edge here. Okay, I went ahead and I cut that. So we've got 2 pieces cut out now, and this is the second one. This is what it looked like, right? So we're going to go ahead, I'm going to put that here, and just putting it here, you can start to see where it's starting to take shape. Now you'll really see it when you do the second row. The first row is kind of hard to see, but you can see as I put this lining it up next to it, you'll see the angle right here. That's your little pinwheel, and then you see your second pinwheel here. So that's what it's outlining there. And so it's gonna, keep going along the line. That's why it's really important to keep them lined up here, because when you're all done and you have the entire rows completed, you're then gonna go back and you're gonna sew these back up, right? You're gonna have to kind of do right sides together and make that 1/4 inch seam allowance. And you don't wanna sew it together if you're not laying it out right. You may sew it together incorrectly, and so you'll get something like this that really doesn't look like a pinwheel. Ask me how I know. So definitely put those together. Then let's kind of keep going here. I'm gonna do another cut. I don't know how many I'll get done, but let's see. I'm going to push this more towards me so I can see what I am doing, because I'm not standing up. But I want you guys to see. And I'm going to press it down with my hand. Now, it does have those little glue dots. And the nice thing about this is because you are cutting up against all of these seam allowances that can be pretty bulky, they have those little glue dots so that the template itself is raised up. And so the seam allowance, all that bulkiness from that seam allowance is not going to get in your way. It will you'll still be able to make a nice cut with that. So that's really great, because if it didn't have those glue dots and you were going to be down on the same level as the fabric, it's going to be a really difficult cut. So I'm glad that they did that, because that really did help. Okay. Here is another one. Ready to go. And I'll go ahead and put that one next to that. And so you'll see here's the black pinwheel starting to take shape. And so we're just going to keep on going along the line, and we'll keep making these cuts. Now, I would recommend, and as my sister here, I know she doesn't like to iron, but I would recommend that once you are all said and done, first of all, when you were done with this project, you need to have given it a nice press, right? When you're all said and done, and even when you have these pieces, I like to give it a little press as well. But you want to be careful that you do not distort the fabric. So don't pull on the fabric too much, because you don't want to distort it. But definitely, give it a nice press so that it just makes it so much easier, when you're piecing it together, if you have it pressed. And let's see. Getting a little bit hung up here on one of these. There we go. I think I got it now. And one more. It's like, this is the only part that, I'm not a fan of, is having to do these awkward cuts. Only because doing it on camera is a little difficult, because I am in a really small space, and, I prefer to stand up and have a little turntable, and I can't really do that because then you guys would not be able to see what I'm doing. So, that's the only bad part. But when you guys do it, you should be fine. So, here's yet another little square. And I'm going to move these over so you can start to see those. Now, I'm going to stop cutting across this row, and I'm going to start jumping into the second row, because I really want you guys to see how this starts to appear. So let me go ahead. Now, normally you would go ahead and finish that row, but I'm going to go ahead and jump to the second row. And you'll see here why it's so important that you don't really cut all the way across, right? You just want to cut where that square is. Because look at this second row. I am completely lined up here, ready to do my second cut. And this is the amount of fabric that I have in between my first square and my second. It's not really that much. It's maybe about a 1/4 inch. So you want to be careful that when you're cutting this, you don't want to cut too deep, because you may cut into the second square, or either next to it or on the next row. So kind of keep your cuts nice and short, only where they need to be. That's one tip that I really can give you on this, because you don't want to cut into it, because then once you do, it's kind of like, you know, don't have too much of a choice at that point. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this piece. And let me just turn a little bit, grab the other side. And got one more cut. Okay, I think I got that one pretty good. Oh, one little thread here. And so this is the second one. And so here, you'll start to see now. The reason I have you lining it up so much is because sometimes you will forget how this goes. And so then you would have to sit here and kind of play around with it. Like, how does this piece go? And you'll kind of lose time doing that. So it's just a little easier when you have it together like this, and it makes it easier for you to piece afterwards, because they can get all bundled up. Okay. 1 minute tip says, Lord help you if you get those new squares out of order. Yes, exactly. You can still put it back together, but it takes a little bit, right? You kind of got to be familiar with the pinwheels. And so it kind of helps, since I have the little sample, you know, I kind of know how it would turn out. But think about this, guys. If you change up the design, if you decide to do something different than alternating checkerboard style quilt, if you do different designs, it'll come out differently. Like the pinwheels will be just kind of like all over. And so that's kind of nice to do, but it can be confusing. So it is super important for you to keep them in order. That way you don't mess up when you go to piece them and you piece them in the wrong order. So be really careful with that. So I'm going to go ahead and keep lining these up. Get it closer to me. Try to turn this, and of course those little glue dots on the bottom really help and keep that fabric stable. It really doesn't move, which is really nice. So as long as you keep it down, then you're good. Then I will go ahead and do the final cut. Let's see, what did I miss here? Did I miss anything? I got a tiny piece of thread here. Let me go ahead and switch hands and try to get that. Okay. Not the best cut there. Let me see if I can fix it up here. Okay, that's a little better. Okay, so here we go. Here's another one. Again, I turned it. Which way do I go? This way. And so you'll see here. So in the beginning, when you start cutting it, you're kind of like, oh my God, this doesn't make any sense. Like, what am I doing? I just ruined my quilt. But as you keep going and as you start to go into, especially once you start getting into the second row, you'll start to see it forming, and you'll start to see where the pinwheels start coming into shape. So really, really cool. You'll just have to keep on going across every intersection, and you're going to see how this just starts to form. And you know what's really nice about this also is if you take a look, I'll kind of point this out here. So you've got your pinwheel, and you'll notice that your pinwheel here is all the same color red. So why do I point that out? Well, if someone's not as proficient in piecing things together, this is a pretty forgiving project. Because let's say you even warp this just a little bit here or there, the fabric is all the same color, so it's still going to come out nice. You know, you're not gonna have something that's totally gonna stand out to show that you did a mistake when you were piecing it together. So I think that is really nice, and so that's why I think this is a pretty good beginner project. I mean, first to have them do this quilt, but if they want to take it up a notch, bring out this tool and you'll just see how amazed they will be. And then you can start moving the blocks around to different areas and do different designs and see how those pinwheels come out. I think it's pretty amazing. I've seen some really beautiful things, especially for the fall that's coming up now. I mean, it's gorgeous. It's really, really gorgeous. You can do just so many things with that. So let me go ahead and cut one more here just to give you that visual that I want you guys to have. I'm going to twist this around here. And one final one here. This cutting part is probably the most tedious out of everything, but other than that, I mean, if you enjoy piecing, you know, just put in your crafting tunes, right? Pop in that CD while you're sewing away. And it comes out to be pretty easy for you to do. So here's that other pinwheel now. So now you're starting to see how it's taking shape, and you start to see your red pinwheel here, your black pinwheel here. And as I continue to go around, it's going to bring that out. Now, you'll notice also that the border is kept intact, which is pretty neat. And you'll see that on the sides as well as on the end. So if I bring back the sample, you'll see that the border ended up being all the way around. Just let me kind of do it on top. So that's how it will look like when you finish it. Obviously, it'll be a little bit bigger than this one. This one was just a really small sample that I wanted to put together. This quilt will come out a little bit bigger than that. Remember, we have 6 rows going across and 4 down. I think this one was only like 2 rows. So I just wanted to test it out and see what it would look like. So this is what you'll end up with. And I think this is a really neat project and fun thing to do if you're feeling creative and a little daring to tear up that little quilt that you put together. You know, it's a fun thing to do, and you can just create so many things with it. So I think it's a cute little tool, and I just love the way it comes out. I really love how the creativity just sparks out. So okay, I see 1 minute tips. I would have never thought this was a thing. I'm not crazy about the red and black colors. I can see this with nice lighter pastels. Yes. And I did have the, the greens on here. So, I just may go back and cut this up. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'll, change my mind on it. I just really liked it. And then I thought about something else that I can do with it instead of cutting it up. So I'm going to continue on and cut this up so that I can show you my finished result next week. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this, and I hope this inspires you to do something creative today. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this little tutorial, and I just think it's a lot of fun. So I hope you enjoy it too. Thank you all for tuning in today. I really appreciate you taking the time to spend with me, and I hope you guys can get a little creative yourselves. Drop in that CD and just kind of, sit back and enjoy your time crafting. Now, members, don't forget, we'll be on tonight at 7 p.m. If you want to join us, go ahead and hit that join button. If you really liked the video, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. It really helps the channel to grow. Thank you again for tuning in today, and I hope to be crafting with you soon. Bye, everyone.
Nancy with GiftsHQ makes crafting videos, creating with passion and a love for what she sews.
Crochet, quilting, and sewing, crafting is what she knows. Making smiles one craft at a time. Your talent will grow with every stitch and every thread she weaves her art. Her hands create something special straight from the heart. And as the colors come alive, the joy spreads near and far.